The stars twinkled coldly in the vast darkness of space as humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, James Wilson, straightened his tie. The massive crystal doors of the council chamber loomed before him, their surface catching and splitting the light into rainbow fragments. After 50 years of observation, the aliens had finally reached out to Earth, offering membership in their advanced civilization. The human race had prepared for this moment ever since receiving the first transmission. They had unified their governments, cleaned their oceans, and developed sustainable energy sources, all to prove they were worthy of joining the galactic community. James felt the weight of 7 billion hopes on his shoulders as he stepped forward. 2 tall guards with blue-tinted skin opened the doors. The council chamber was a massive amphitheater, with thousands of alien representatives seated in rising tiers. They came in all shapes and sizes, some resembled Earth's insects, others looked like living crystals, and many were simply beyond human description. At the center, elevated on a platform, sat the 5 high counselors. Ambassador Wilson of Earth, announced the lead counselor, whose name was First Speaker Ray. His species looked almost human, except for the silver scales covering their skin. "We have reviewed your species application for membership." James bowed respectfully, following the protocols he had studied for months. "Honorable Council, humanity is grateful for this opportunity. We have worked hard to meet your standards and hope to contribute to the greater galactic community." The second speaker, a being made of shifting smoke contained within a transparent shell, leaned forward. "Indeed, your species has shown remarkable progress in a short time. However, we have concerns." James felt a chill run down his spine. Something in the way the second speaker said "concerns" made him uneasy. He noticed several council members exchanging meaningful glances. What concerns might those be? James asked carefully. "Earth has met all the technological and social requirements for membership." First speaker Ray's silver scales rippled, catching the light. "It's not about your requirements, Ambassador. It's about your potential. Our predictive models show humanity advancing at an unprecedented rate. Within just 2 centuries, your species could rival the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Isn't that a good thing?" James asked, though he already suspected the answer. Third speaker, a crystalline being, chimed in with a voice like ringing bells. "It would destabilize the careful balance we have maintained for millions of years. Your species' adaptability and innovation rate is frightening." The chamber grew quiet. James noticed more and more representatives were standing up, moving toward the exits. His military training from years ago screamed that something was very wrong. Fourth speaker, an impossibly thin being with multiple eyes, spoke next. "We have decided that preventive measures must be taken. For the greater good of the galaxy." James took a step back. "What kind of measures?" "A cleansing fleet is already approaching your solar system," First Speaker Ray said, almost apologetically. "Your world will be sterilized. But take comfort in knowing this is nothing personal, it's simply galactic security." James's hand went to his emergency beacon, but alien guards were already surrounding him. Yet they had made one crucial mistake: they didn't know about the quantum entanglement device embedded in his teeth, connected directly to Earth's defense command. With a quick bite, James activated the warning signal. His last message to Earth was simple but clear: run. As the guards seized him, James smiled grimly. The Galactic Council didn't know that humanity had suspected something like this might happen. For 50 years, while showing the aliens their clean energy and unified government, they had also been preparing underground bunkers, hidden fleets, and evacuation protocols. The Council thought they were preventing a threat. Instead, they had just created exactly what they feared most: a humanity that would never trust, never forget, and never stop advancing until they could ensure this would never happen to another species again. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a command center that officially didn't exist, General Lisa Martinez watched as the quantum signal from Ambassador Wilson flashed red on her screens. She didn't hesitate for a second. They had trained for this scenario thousands of times. Operation Ark is now active, she announced, her voice echoing through the global military network. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Authorization code, Phoenix Rising. Across the planet, hidden facilities rumbled to life. Massive underground hangar doors slid open in deserts, mountains, and beneath the oceans. The public had been told these were storage facilities, research centers, or ecological preservation zones. In reality, they housed humanity's secret fleet, ships built with a combination of reverse-engineered alien tech and human innovation. Status report, General Martinez demanded, watching as green lights began flickering across her global display. Pacific Fleet reporting ready, 20 carriers launching, came the first response. Atlantic Fleet mobilizing, 15 carriers. Indian Ocean Fleet, 12 carriers. All stealth systems engaged. These weren't traditional naval carriers, they were space-worthy vessels designed to carry thousands of cryogenic pods and enough resources to establish colonies far from Earth. For 50 years, while showing the Galactic Council their solar farms and peace treaties, humanity had been preparing for the worst. On the surface, panic began to spread as the cleansing fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their massive ships cast shadows on Pluto as they approached. The public hadn't known about the evacuation plans, but they had all participated in emergency drills throughout the years. Now those drills proved their worth as people calmly made their way to designated shelters, which were actually boarding stations for the hidden ships. Enemy fleet analysis coming in, reported Colonel Tom Baker, the head of military intelligence. They expected to find us defenseless. Their ships are powerful but slow. No signs they've detected our stealth tech yet. General Martinez nodded grimly. How long until all civilians are boarded? 6 hours at current pace. The drills paid off, people know exactly where to go and what to do. In orbit, Earth's official space stations and defense platforms began firing at the approaching alien fleet. It was a suicide mission, and everyone knew it. But every minute they bought with their lives meant more humans safely loaded onto the evacuation ships. Meanwhile, deep under the Antarctic ice, the largest of humanity's secret projects was preparing to launch. The Terra's Hope, a massive ship containing seeds, DNA samples, and database copies of all human knowledge and culture. If nothing else survived, this ship would preserve Earth's legacy. "Sir," called out a young lieutenant, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the alien fleet. They're preparing some kind of weapon." "Let them come," General Martinez said quietly. "Every simulation we've run shows they'll target major cities first. They don't know that our real civilization has already moved underground." The first alien attacks hit New York, London, and Beijing, finding them largely empty. The Galactic Council's fleet had expected mass panic and chaos. Instead, they found a humanity that disappeared like ghosts into their hidden vessels. In his cell aboard the Council station, Ambassador James Wilson felt the station shudder as ships departed for Earth. He closed his eyes and smiled, knowing that even now, humanity's greatest deception was working perfectly. The Council thought they were launching a surprise attack. They didn't realize they were following a script humanity had written decades ago. The real question wasn't whether humanity would survive, it was what they would become after this betrayal. As the evacuation ships prepared to scatter across the galaxy, carrying the seeds of a new human civilization, one thing was certain: the Galactic Council had just created their worst nightmare, a humanity with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The alien fleet's commander, First Strike Leader Ray, the same species as First Speaker Ray, but no relation, stared in disbelief at the readings from Earth's surface. The massive energy signatures they detected from orbit, the ones marking major human population centers, were disappearing one by one. "Impossible," he muttered, his silver scales darkening with frustration. "They couldn't have known we were coming. How are they vanishing?" On Earth, deep beneath the streets of Chicago, Dr. Mark Anderson supervised the final stages of the city's evacuation. The underground facility had been disguised as a subway expansion project for the past 30 years. Now, as families filed onto the massive ships hidden behind false walls, he checked off names on his tablet. "Keep moving, folks," he called out, his voice steady despite the tension. "Remember your assigned ships and sectors. Just like in the drills." Children clutched stuffed animals while their parents carried the Regulation 2 bags they'd been told to keep packed for emergency preparedness. Above them, the first wave of alien weapons struck the empty city. The ground shook, but the reinforced tunnels held firm. They'd been built to withstand exactly this scenario. In orbit, the Council's cleansing fleet was growing increasingly confused. Their scans showed human life signs scattered across the planet, but every time they targeted a concentration of them, the signatures would simply vanish. "Second wave ready," reported an alien officer to First Strike Leader Ray. "But sir, something's wrong. These humans, they're not acting like any species we've cleansed before. There's no panic, no chaos, no desperate last stands." Ray's scales rippled with unease. "Launch the second wave anyway. They can't hide forever." But hiding wasn't humanity's plan at all. As the alien fleet focused on bombarding Earth's surface, the first wave of stealth ships was already slipping past their perimeter. The vessels used a combination of advanced cloaking technology and a simple yet brilliant strategy. They looked like debris. The Council sensors, programmed to detect engine signatures and energy weapons, completely overlooked what appeared to be chunks of destroyed satellites and space junk. General Martinez watched from her command center as the first ships cleared the solar system. "Phase 1 complete," she announced over the secure channel. "Begin Phase 2. Across the planet, the massive underground hangar doors began to close. The last civilians were aboard, the critical resources secured. Now came the part that would make the Council realize just how badly they had underestimated humanity. "Terra's Hope reporting ready," came the transmission from Antarctica. Dr. Anderson, now aboard his own ship beneath Chicago, acknowledged the signal. Every evacuation ship carried a piece of the puzzle, fragments of a plan decades in the making. First Strike Leader Ray was about to order a third wave of attacks when his sensors officer shouted in alarm. "Sir! Energy spike from the planet's core." What the Council didn't know, what humanity had kept secret even from their own people until this moment, was that the underground bases weren't just evacuation points. They were part of a global network, connected to generators that had been dumping power into Earth's core for 50 years. As the last ships cleared the atmosphere, Dr. Anderson activated his command console. On screens across every evacuation ship, a message appeared: "Operation Arc Phase 2, initiate core pulse." The alien fleet barely had time to register what was happening. Earth's magnetic field suddenly expanded exponentially, creating a massive electromagnetic pulse unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Council's ships, completely unprepared for this level of electromagnetic attack, found their systems failing. First Strike Leader Ray watched in horror as his fleet's weapons and engines shut down. But that wasn't the worst part. The pulse had another effect. It revealed every cloaked human ship escaping the system, their stealth systems momentarily overloaded by the surge. There weren't dozens of ships as they'd expected. There weren't even hundreds. There were thousands. And as Ray's fleet drifted helplessly in space, their systems rebooting, humanity's vessels jumped to faster-than-light speed, scattering in all directions according to plans laid down half a century ago. The Council had tried to exterminate humanity. Instead, they had just seeded the entire galaxy with the most dangerous survivors imaginable, humans who would never forget, never forgive, and never stop preparing for the day they would return. 6 months after Earth's evacuation, first speaker Ray faced an increasingly hostile Galactic Council. The massive amphitheater, once a symbol of unified galactic civilization, had become an arena of accusations and fear. "The humans have disappeared into uncharted space," he reported, his silver scales dulled with stress. "Our cleansing fleet was disabled for only 6 hours, but it was enough. We've lost track of over 4,000 ships." The second speaker's smoke form churned with agitation inside its containment shell. "How did we not detect these vessels during our 50 years of observation?" "They hid them inside their planet," first speaker Ray admitted. "Our sensors were looking for surface development and orbital construction. We never imagined they would hollow out portions of their world in preparation for exodus." In the prison levels below, Ambassador James Wilson sat in his cell, listening to the Council's proceedings through a hidden device in his artificial tooth, the same one that had contained the quantum warning beacon. The guards hadn't thought to check for more than one hidden device. Humans, after all, were supposed to be primitive. Meanwhile, at the edge of known space, the human colony ship, Northern Light, dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Captain Robert Hall studied the scanner readings of an uninhabited solar system. Perfect for their needs, 3 habitable planets, abundant resources, and most importantly, no alien presence. "Begin Operation Seedling," he ordered. The massive ship's holds opened, releasing smaller vessels that had been nested inside like Russian dolls. Another innovation the Council hadn't expected, ships inside ships, multiplying humanity's actual numbers far beyond initial estimates. Back in Council space, the first reports of strange incidents began trickling in. A vital shipping lane found its navigation beacons reprogrammed, sending cargo ships off course. A military supply depot discovered its inventory replaced with convincing holographic duplicates. Small things, but they added up. "The humans are already adapting our technology," third speaker chimed, its crystalline form vibrating with concern. "They're not just running, they're studying us, learning our weaknesses." In his cell, James smiled. The Council still didn't understand what they'd done. They thought they had scattered humanity to the stars. In reality, they had achieved what Earth's governments never could, they had united humanity with a single purpose. Each evacuation ship carried a piece of humanity's new mission. Some had manufacturing facilities, others carried agricultural systems or military hardware. They weren't just refugee ships, they were seed ships, meant to spawn new civilizations across the galaxy. Near the galactic core, Dr. Anderson's ship, Chicago's Hope, had found its designated location. As his crew began constructing their hidden base inside an asteroid field, he accessed the quantum-encrypted network that connected all human vessels. The screen filled with green dots, each representing a successful colony establishment. "Phase 3 is proceeding ahead of schedule," he reported to General Martinez, whose ship was orchestrating the grand strategy from deep space. "The Council thinks we're running scared, but every place we settle becomes a new staging point." The General's response was quick: the Council's arrogance was their weakness. They never considered that we might have planned for betrayal. Activate the sleeper protocols. Across Council space, seemingly ordinary devices, gifts exchanged during 50 years of diplomatic relations, began collecting data. Each one had been designed to appear primitive by galactic standards, hiding their true capabilities. In the Council chamber, the fourth speaker suddenly froze, its multiple eyes widening. "We're detecting unauthorized access in our defense networks. Thousands of simultaneous intrusions, but they don't match any known human technology signature." "Of course they don't," James whispered in his cell, though no one could hear him. "We didn't just copy alien technology, we reinvented it. Made it our own." The Council had expected humanity to either die or scatter to the stars as primitive refugees. Instead, they had created something unprecedented, a species that combined the best of Earth's innovation with advanced alien technology, all driven by an unshakable determination for survival and eventual justice. As James listened to the growing panic in the council chamber above, he remembered an old Earth saying, "Necessity is the mother of invention." The council had created the ultimate necessity, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what they could invent. 1 year after the attempted cleansing of Earth, the Galactic Council's perfect order began to crumble. It started with simple things: communication delays, missing shipments, corrupted data. But like a virus spreading through a system, these small problems grew into a cascade of failures. General Martinez stood on the bridge of her command ship, now hidden in an artificial nebula created by thousands of networked nanomachines, another technology humanity had kept secret. The massive holographic display before her showed the status of Operation Ghost Strike, with green dots representing human colonies and red marks indicating council targets. "The sleeper protocols have accessed 90% of their critical systems," reported her tactical officer. "They still haven't realized that every primitive gift we gave them over 50 years contained quantum-linked processors. Their own security systems think these devices are part of their infrastructure." In the council chamber, panic had replaced the usual ordered discussions. The third speaker's crystalline form vibrated so intensely it was starting to crack. "Another trading hub has gone dark. That's the 15th this month. How are they doing this?" First speaker Ray's scales had turned almost white with stress. "We're dealing with an enemy that had 50 years to study us while pretending to be primitive. An enemy we taught our technology to, thinking they were just eager students." In his cell, Ambassador James Wilson received a silent signal through his hidden implant. It was time. He touched the false tooth that had contained his warning beacon and quantum communicator. With a slight pressure, it cracked open, revealing its final secret: a swarm of microscopic machines that had been quietly replicating inside his body for months. Above in the council chamber, the fourth speaker was addressing the assembly. "We must find their colonies. They cannot hide forever." The speaker's voice cut off as all power in the chamber suddenly failed. "Emergency systems engaging," announced an automated voice. But when the lights came back on, the chamber had changed. Every screen, every holographic display, showed the same image, Earth, as it had looked from space, with a simple message below it: "You should have listened when we said run." James walked out of his cell, past guards frozen in place by invisible fields generated by his nanomachines. The council had never imagined that humanity would develop technology this advanced, because humans had made sure to always present their innovations as crude, clumsy versions of alien tech. In deep space, Dr. Anderson's hidden base received the signal they'd been waiting for. "Begin Phase 4, he ordered. Across the galaxy, human colonies activated their primary weapons, not ships or bombs, but information. 50 years of collected data about council operations, corruption, and lies began flooding every communication channel in council space. The council didn't just betray humanity, the broadcasts began. They've betrayed every species that showed too much potential. We found the records. We know about the others they cleansed before us. But humanity is giving you a choice: stand with us against the council, or stand aside." On thousands of council worlds, alien citizens watched in shock as proof of their leaders' crimes played on every screen. The council had maintained power through careful control of information, control that was now shattered. First speaker Ray staggered as Ambassador Wilson walked into the chamber, surrounded by a shimming field of nanomachines. "How?" the speaker whispered. "You were our prisoners." "No," James replied calmly. "You were ours. Every moment you spent watching us, we were watching you. Every time you thought you were teaching us, we were learning your weaknesses. You tried to cleanse humanity because you feared what we might become. Now you're seeing exactly what we already were." General Martinez watched from her command ship as reports flooded in. Council military units were standing down. Member species were declaring independence. The mighty Galactic Council was collapsing, not through force, but through the exposure of truth. 50 years of preparation, she murmured. 50 years of playing the primitive species, the eager students, the harmless newcomers. And they never once wondered why we were taking such detailed notes. As the Galactic Council's authority crumbled, First Speaker Ray made his final desperate move. In a hidden facility deep beneath the council chamber, he accessed an emergency terminal that hadn't been used in millennia. "Activate the Guardians," he commanded, his silver scales now almost white with fear. Authorization, Omega Protocol. In ancient shipyards scattered across the galaxy, massive automated warships began powering up. The Guardians were the Council's ultimate weapon, kept secret from even most Council members. Ancient machines built by a long-dead precursor race, preserved for a crisis that might threaten the Council's very existence. But humanity had known about them all along. General Martinez smiled as alerts lit up her command screen. "They've activated the Guardians," she transmitted to all human colonies. "Right on schedule. Begin Operation Legacy." In his quantum-linked communication with the Resistance, Ambassador James Wilson received the news in the council chamber. He turned to the panicking council members, his voice carrying across the chaos. "Did you really think we spent 50 years studying your civilization without finding your greatest secret?" Across the galaxy, the Guardian ships emerged from their hidden docks. Each one was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could shatter planets. They were fully automated, controlled by artificial intelligences that had been sleeping for thousands of years. As the first Guardian approached a human colony, something unexpected happened. Instead of running, the human ships approached it, broadcasting a signal that shouldn't have existed, the original command codes of the precursor race. Dr. Anderson, from his base in the asteroid field, watched the feeds with satisfaction. "It took us decades to decrypt those codes from fragments in your historical records," he announced across all council channels. "While you were preserving the Guardians, we were learning to understand them." The massive Guardian ship stopped its advance. Its ancient AI systems processed the human commands, comparing them to its original directives. Slowly, its weapons powered down. First Speaker Ray watched in horror as reports came in. One by one, the Guardians were standing down, responding to human control signals. "Impossible," he shouted. "Those codes were lost millennia ago." "No," James replied calmly. "You just stopped looking for them. Humanity has a talent for solving puzzles, for finding patterns in ancient data. We didn't just study your current technology, we studied your history, your legends, the traces left by those who came before." On the General's command ship, a new signal appeared. It was coming from Earth's solar system. The Council fleet, still in orbit around the sterilized planet, reported something extraordinary: the planet was changing. The electromagnetic pulse that had disabled the Council fleet hadn't just been a weapon. It had been the key to activating Earth's final transformation. 50 years of hidden machinery, buried deep in the planet's crust, began to awaken. "Earth was never just our homeworld," General Martinez broadcasted across all frequencies. "It was our proof of concept. Watch what humanity can do with a planet when we have time to prepare." The Council fleet watched in awe as Earth's surface began to shift. Massive structures emerged from beneath the oceans and continents. The entire planet was revealing itself to be a vast machine, a testament to human engineering and determination. "You tried to destroy our home," James announced to the Council chamber. "Instead, you've helped us turn it into something new. Earth isn't just a planet anymore, it's humanity's first fortress world. And we've built more of them, hidden across the galaxy, waiting to be awakened." The Council members stared in shock at the feeds from Earth. The planet that they had tried to cleanse was transforming into something beyond their comprehension, a world-sized machine that combined human innovation with recovered precursor technology. First speaker Ray sank into his chair, finally understanding the full scope of humanity's deception. They hadn't just been preparing for survival, they had been preparing to reshape the galaxy itself. 1 month after the activation of Earth's transformation protocols, representatives from every spacefaring species gathered in a new chamber, one built within humanity's first fortress world. The planet that had once been Earth now shone with networks of light, its surface a masterpiece of engineering and art combined. General Martinez stood at the central podium, her uniform bearing no weapons. Behind her, a massive window showed the transformed Earth, now a beacon of hope rather than a testament to betrayal. The assembled aliens watched in silence as she began humanity's final address to the galaxy. The old council thought they could decide which species deserved to live and which needed to be cleansed, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. They forgot a fundamental truth about life: it's not the strongest or the most advanced that survives, but the most adaptable. Ambassador James Wilson, no longer a prisoner but a symbol of human resilience, stepped forward. We didn't spend 50 years just preparing for war. We spent it understanding every species in this galaxy, your hopes, your fears, your own struggles under council rule. The massive screens around the chamber activated, showing images from thousands of worlds. On each one, the hidden human colonies had been doing more than just hiding, they had been helping, secretly strengthening the economies and infrastructures of oppressed worlds. The council feared us because they couldn't control us, Dr. Anderson explained from his position near a group of crystalline beings similar to the third speaker. But we're not here to replace one form of control with another. We're here to offer something the council never did: true cooperation. First speaker Ray, now stripped of his authority but permitted to attend, watched in astonishment as human representatives demonstrated their true technological achievements. They hadn't just decoded the Guardian ship's controls, they had improved them, making them more efficient, more stable, and most importantly, answerable to no single species. Earth is no longer just our home, General Martinez continued. It's a prototype for what every world can become. Not a fortress for war, but a foundation for growth. The technology that transformed our world isn't a secret we'll keep, it's a gift we'll share. The assembled representatives stirred with excitement as they understood the implications. Humanity wasn't offering to rule, they were offering to teach, to help each species reach their full potential. But, James added, his voice carrying a note of steel, let this also be a warning. What you saw, our preparation, our deception, our ultimate victory, that's what humanity does when threatened. We don't seek conflict, but we will never again allow any power to decide which species deserves to exist. Dr. Anderson activated the final display, showing the network of transformed human colony worlds, each one a beacon of advanced technology. These worlds form a network, a safety net for every species in this galaxy. Any threat to galactic peace will face not just humanity, but every race we've helped rise above their limitations. The former council members watched as their old chamber was systematically dismantled, its resources repurposed for the new galactic coalition. The age of secret cleansings and suppressed potential was over. We told you to run, General Martinez concluded, allowing herself a small smile. Instead, you taught us how far humanity could go when united by a common purpose. The galaxy tried to make us flee in terror. Instead, we learned to stand together, to build rather than destroy, to transform rather than terraform. As the new galactic charter was signed, a message appeared on every screen in every language: from this day forward, no species shall fear extinction. No civilization shall be held back. We are all explorers in this vast universe, and together, we will build something greater than any council could imagine. The transformed Earth glowed behind them, its light reaching across space, not as a warning anymore, but as a beacon of hope. Humanity had turned their greatest trial into their finest moment, proving that the most dangerous force in the universe wasn't weapons or technology, but the unshakable will to build a better future for all.